Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Friday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, a big and furry bovine, and joining me today on the program is the Moose
The
from
moose
Merry
here.
England. Yeah, Moose is there. And Bronk will be with us for the majority of the program, although he's doing some arts and crafts. And so you may find him muting his mic every now and then. Uh, Today's show is going to be maybe a little bit on the rambunctious side, but I'm not going to be rude. I'm going to be very pointed about things because things that I read, it's interesting to me what is considered the way to broadcast, okay, which has changed radically over time. And I've been doing this now for 25 years, and I've seen changes, and none of them are for the better. And we'll get into that in just a minute. Uh, this headline absolutely floored me today. Falcons general manager Tagovailoa to compete with Penix for starting job. He didn't let Kevin Stefanski say that. The GM came out and said that's going to be the case. His name's Ian Cunningham, and he said definitively Friday that the team is bringing in Tua to compete with Michael Penix Jr. for the starting quarterback job. Two small midget left-handers. You get
I'm
your
here,
pick,
I'm
Kevin.
here.
Yeah, you get your pick, Kevin. Isn't that glorious? Sometimes you get what you want in spades, and now he's got what he wants in his hip pocket. Here's what Ian Cunningham, the GM, said. For Tua coming in here, he knows he's coming in to compete, which is more than he did in Miami. Just like Michael knows that he's coming in to compete, and everybody, quite frankly, not just those two at the quarterback position, but everybody's coming in to compete. And then he went on to say, we've just got to be better. No, I mean, I just had to. Penix is still recovering from the left ACL surgery that he had in November. He says he'll be ready in week one, but who knows? The previous regime in Atlanta was absolutely adamant that Penix would be the starter as soon as he was healthy, but the new group has not made that same commitment. So right off the bat, I always look for similarities. And if you don't know who your quarterback is, then Kevin Stefanski is your head coach. He's your man.
He's your man.
Oh, my God.
But we know what's going to happen to Tua. How many times has the poor lad been concussed and he's like lying on the ground and his body's like shaking violently? I mean, I don't want to fucking see that again. I mean, the kid should retire, man.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of reason to believe that about, and it was great that JOK has called it quits. I mean,
That's really, because I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just important to live more than it is to play football. That's what it comes down to. And I've been talking about the NBA a lot. I just wanted to pull up ESPN's the NBA page, and I'm just reading right off this. This is their top headlines. SGA eclipses Wilt for NBA's longest 20-point streak. That's your Oklahoma City favorites story. Spoelstra sorry to absolutely no one for Bam Adebayo's 83-point game. Got to get the Heat in there somehow and make them relevant, don't you, League?
Yeah.
Luka drops 51 as Lakers explode in LeBron's return. It's that time of the year, folks, when the league cranks up the publicity for their favorite teams. Get this one.
I thought you were going to say that Luka explodes in LeBron's face, but
yeah, spooch is all over him. Yeah. Then this Celtics Brown calls out NBA's foul baiting trend. Now, this is really funny because that's what I mean. Tatum has made a career of that. The forearm shiver going into the fadeaway. Fuck you. Fuck every one of these people.
Go fuck themselves.
And then the next headline: Wemby ankle sits out loss to Jokic and Nuggets. So you mentioned the other two teams. You got San Antonio in there. You got Wemby's name in there. You got Jokic's name in there. And you got the Nuggets in there. These are the only headlines that matter. In the whole fucking league, this is what they come up with. And then
isn't there any Knicks news in there? Knicks? New York Knicks?
No.
Wow.
And then this. The last one is for Auld Lang Syne. Warriors Curry out 10 more days with knee issue. We don't care about him anymore.
Oh, God. He's like 90 years old.
Yeah, so just make it stop, for God's sakes. All right. So what I want to talk about today is the way reportage, people reporting things, has changed radically, and it not for the better. And I'm going to use something here that has already been bandied about on the internet. I recognize that, but I am going to add it to the stage so that you can hear it, because y'all need to hear it. And this is Jason Lloyd. God,
they're fat enough to be on our panel.
I know. Jason Lloyd's been around a good long time now. As long as I have, he's been around a long time. And if you don't know what he said, you might as well hear it.
I don't.
No, okay, then you get to hear it.
I don't know what he said.
From his mouth, you get to hear it. So I'm going to go ahead and...
from his mouth to the moose's ass.
There you go. All right, here we go.
If you do that, why couldn't you do that and just play the Shador there?
Here's
because
the thing.
If the 27 was
here's the thing. This is the spot that I'm in, I think, with Shador, is I've talked to enough people and heard so much about him that's not very good. So what am I supposed to do with that? Am I supposed to play dumb and just come in here and be like, yeah, play the kid, let's give it a shot? When you hear over and over and over again, doesn't really watch a ton of film, had to kind of be shown how to watch film, doesn't know when he's hot, doesn't know what he's looking at in coverages. Am I supposed to ignore all that? No. So that's what leads me to some of the decisions that I've come to. And then when you look at the data, it is what it is. And he didn't play well. So people want me to just ignore all of that because, well, it's Shador and it's a 5th round pick. And hey, if they hit on a 5th round pick, it erases Deshaun. All of that is true. But when you're told things over and over and over by different people, it's not one person, it's different people all saying this. You just expect me to just ignore that? No. And not take it into account? So that's what's led me to this decision.
If you do that, why couldn't you do that?
All right. So that's and people are bandying this about. And he heard, and then he's heard from outside sources, other people. He's not naming any names. He's just saying how many people have told him this. And I want to point something out. If I walked into, and I'm going to do this both sides to be fair, if I had walked into a Kamala Harris rally and asked people questions, I'd have heard the same thing. And if I'd have gone into a Trump rally and asked people, I would get the same thing from them, from their point of view and their perspective. Jason Lloyd, I don't know personally. I've never spoken to him in all the years I've done this program. And I am not going to badmouth Jason Lloyd. What I will say, however, is that when you say things and it comes off as anger, as somewhat petulant, like, why do I have to explain this? And basically what he's saying in so many words is, and I'm going to take this out of my, make sure that this is out of here. What he's basically saying is he doesn't work hard And that would be he's lazy, because somebody who doesn't work hard and doesn't have that kind of work ethic is lazy. And he doesn't know what he's looking at on a football field. That would make him slow, not smart. And he didn't play very well. And of course, he didn't have any reps in the preseason. And that's one way, I suppose, of looking at something. And it's just so tunnel visioned. Hearing him say this and the way he said it, it just seems like there's more to it than just what I call the eye test. The eye test that made me say Dylan Gabriel, and nobody went after Dylan Gabriel. Nobody tried to get Dylan Gabriel from the Browns. Nobody is talking about Dylan Gabriel. We watched him for a lot of games, and my eye test was not that he was stupid, not that he didn't have work ethic. I just thought that he was underarmed. He didn't have arm strength. He was short and couldn't see over the offensive line. And he really seemed physically overmatched at this level. Nothing against him personally, but, fat, ugly, and stupid is no way to go through life, son, as an Animal House. If you're going to describe somebody in terms of them being lazy and not smart, it comes off as a personal attack. I mean, you can use statistics, and why the venom? Why is there a need for that kind of venom? And the answer is because he probably feels that way about a lot of other things, and that it fits into a general narrative. We just don't hear Jason talking about that stuff. But the bottom line is that it's too easy to just spew out something that is generic hoo-ha, and that's not reportage. That's expressing a personal way of looking at somebody, and it's almost like they want to kill the baby in the crib. It's like, no, don't even let him have a chance to start. Don't even give him a chance in the preseason. He's dumb and he doesn't know what he's doing. And it's like, if you listen to this program, you would know that what I have said is you're going into the season with 3 quarterbacks, and all of them should get to play in practice, and in the preseason they should get reps, and they should be looking specifically at whether Deshaun Watson can still play football or whether he is damaged goods forever, and they have to make that physical assessment with him. You're going to have to look at how all 3 quarterbacks, not just 2, but how all 3 quarterbacks fit into Todd Monken's offensive thrust. You're also going to have to realize that we're going after offensive linemen, which is what we should have been doing in the free agency period that we did do. And that the running game with Todd Monken is going to be accented. You've got a couple of good guys in Sampson and Judkins, and with a better, stronger line, your quarterback's going to have to take snaps from under center, and they're going to have to do play action. And they can't just live in a shotgun like they did in Baltimore, where the quarterback was an actual running back in essence and was a triple threat. That's not the case here. Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders and Deshaun Watson are no threats to run the football. Everyone's going to have to be, there's not going to be this big shotgun thing that there was when Deshaun Watson came to the Browns originally. There's there's going to be more play action. So it's going to be more in the mold of what Joe Flacco was asked to do because he had good, he handled the ball well in play action. So we got to see, can Shador do that? Because he's been predominantly a guy who takes the snap, shotgun. And then you have Dylan, and you got to find out if he really has the ability to learn a new offense better than the other two quarterbacks. So, you got to give everybody a chance here. But sitting there and pointing out that one guy needs to be thrown out of the mix before he even gets an opportunity, it really reeks of something that is very personal. And I don't know why this should be personal. I don't know any of the men on the Cleveland Browns. I have never spoken to any of them. I didn't know Kevin Stefanski. I could give you an idea of week after week after week what I thought of him and what I thought that maybe he could do certain things better. But I wouldn't want to put words in anyone's mouth, and I would not want to assess the courage, the intelligence, or whatever of a given player. I do question the effort of Jerry Jeudy. And I don't know if you saw the videos that were online. He's supposedly working out real hard, and and he's doing all these really fast twitch kind of exercises, which has nothing to do with catching the fucking ball with his hands. So that's
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but I mean, getting open is only half the game, babe. I mean, you got to catch the football. So, that's the first thing about reportage. It's like when somebody who has some gravitas and has been around for a long period of time takes this tact, it really seems a little bit odd to me.
Well, and it's 4 months before bloody training camp even starts open.
Yep.
I mean, what's the point? I mean, the Browns quarterback in September may not even be on the roster right now, god damn it. So, I mean, they're just coming up with excuses to open their mouth and talk about shit,
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me either. And then Fear the Sword, which is a site that is dedicated.
Cavalieri.
Yeah. And the comments by Donovan Mitchell after the Cavaliers got anally raped against Charlotte, which I told you was going to happen, and now it's all over. The surging Charlotte Hornets,
Well,
and
you mean the Magic, don't you?
I mean, I'm sorry. That's right.
Yeah.
What am I saying? Yeah,
they're all surging.
Yeah, the Orlando Magic, and it's like they're surging. It's like
that was an ass raping, even though the game was relatively close and the Cavaliers could have won it. It wasn't that close.
The Cavaliers, and I'll talk about them in a minute too. This is not a discussion right this second about how well or how not well they're playing, but rather how the league is just shifting attention to. It's like they're hyping certain teams.
Yeah.
And when you're going to the free throw line so many times and you are throwing the ball out of bounds, and then the NBA comes back and says, well, we've looked at it the next day and it did go off of Mitchell. And you're telling me that you could see that?
Wow.
I mean, honest to God, it was a horrible pass and it went out of bounds, and we would have been in a position to get back in that. I mean, to get tie it up or win the game with a possession, and instead, it just goes to Orlando, and there's nothing surging about the Orlando Magic.
Oh no, they're not that good. They're not.
But you look at the two teams now, they're focusing in on it's Orlando and Miami.
Yeah, I know.
And this is, the Miami thing is really nauseating. But what Fear the Sword wrote an article about was Donovan Mitchell's comments that we got to do something with it, because you're getting only 2 challenges and you're using them up early, and then at the end of the game when it really matters, you don't have any left.
Yeah.
And they got to do something and get, they got to figure this out, whether it's more challenges or whatever. And, I would say this: if you need to be dealing with this frequently, there's a problem. There's a problem with the officiating in the league.
Correct.
There's a problem with the integrity in the league. And you can see how they use, whether it's influencers on the internet or whether it's ESPN or, all of their broadcast buddies to throw out the garbage that they want spread. This is the conclusion of Fear the Sword. And I can, read this, but this is the excuse. And this isn't that the league owns Fear the Sword. This is a younger group of people, and this is the way the younger fans are really looking at a lot of things in life, and it's really very scary to me personally. There's the thought that if there were more replay reviews, we'd somehow make things more fair. And while the increased use of replay does help get more calls correct, sports will never be completely fair. The more you try to make it that way, the more you end up highlighting that it isn't and never will be. So
that's pretty cynical and jaded.
I mean, that's like saying, the people in Washington, D.C. are stealing your tax dollars, and, but
it's never going to change because we're never going to stop it. You
shouldn't get all your panties in a wad about it because, it could be worse.
Yeah, let's just live with corruption,
That's
what they're saying.
That's what they're saying. And
let's live with corruption. Let's not really address it in any meaningful way.
I'll read on. There's also the fact that there's no amount of replays that would make things better. If you're allowed 2 challenges, you'll always think you should be allowed 3 and so on. That's because there's so many goddamn cheating, bad fucking calls. I mean, normally you wouldn't need that many, but the fact that you need that many, they're going to outlast you. The league is going to outlast no matter, and that's what they're saying here. No matter how many challenges you have, they will tell the officials to do 1 or 2 more. All right. So that's not a reason why this is okay. Next, additionally, there are calls that can't easily be reviewed, the writer says. For example, the missed goaltending call in the Cavs game against the Oklahoma City Thunder proved to be monumental. Instead of 2 points for the Cavs, OKC ended up with a transition 3.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to stop that from happening? How about getting new officials? How about investigating the fucking league? What do you do about how do you stop it? You know how you stop it? You stop writing this nonsense because you're a silly ninny. I mean, this is foolishness. Should they halt play anytime there's a close call? That isn't exciting. Look, you're not jerking off, young man. Wow. It can't be exciting the whole game. Then do you give the team that was goaltended against 2 points? That would help, but it's still unfair that OKC got a 3 in transition. It would have put so much more pressure on them. Do I have to explain this to somebody? It's like a little kindergartner writing this. Do you rewind the game to the time and score when the goaltend happened? That would be anticlimactic. Not every problem has a clean solution, so you'll never completely fix everything. And adding more replays hasn't made the product better in any sport. It just leaves you more unsatisfied while also derailing any momentum the game had. You will never create a system where every judgment call is right. And you know what? It's okay to accept that as just part of the game. First of all, you never watch professional tennis matches. I mean, if you write something ignorant like that, and a guy sitting in a lawn chair or sitting in a high chair has to call a ball in or out that's going 100 fucking miles an hour.
150 miles an hour these days.
I mean, and leave it up to that person? No, they got the eye in the sky, and they can immediately call the thing.
Yeah, and tennis is an excellent example. Cricket is another good example of replay that's done properly. That I've said many times before on this program. I mean, there are other replays that are not so effective. Like in soccer, there's a problem with VAR, but go fuck yourself, young people. If you're just going to sit there and say everything's corrupt and let's just
give up.
It.
I give up. I mean, there's nothing worse in my mind than let's give up.
Can I make a comment about the NBA refs?
Let me just finish this last.
Yeah, all right.
Last thing.
I didn't know you weren't done.
Yep. Sports. This is his final comment to wrap this up in a neat package with a bow. Yeah. Sports and life in general are unfair. You're gonna.
What a cunt.
There's a certain amount of luck involved in winning. This isn't luck. This is predetermined, you schmuck. Next, which includes the officiating. That wasn't on the Cavs side on Wednesday, and they weren't good enough to overcome it. We'll all be happier if we just accept that this is just part of the sport. I want to be happy. Why don't you take your soma, like Aldous Huxley told you to do in Brave New World? Read, do something to learn beyond the limited scope that you're looking at, because accepting things is all what they want. They want to beat people down. And there are teams that have been beaten down for decades in the NBA.
Yeah.
So what were you going to say, Bronk?
Right. Now, I've been noticing lately, I don't know whether this is just me noticing it or whether it's actually happening, but it seems to be the national broadcasts like ESPN or Cavs Game Tonight's on Prime or some of these other channels, they seem to be talking about the referees personally. Like, oh, Tony Brothers has been in the league for 30 years. Oh, so-and-so
credibility.
Done 9 different NBA finals. Oh, this bloke has done 8. Well, you know what? When you're in a job for over 20 years, you're pretty secure. Like if you're a professor, you have tenure. If you're in a corporation, you're probably a senior vice president. Or if you're in some other profession, like you're a doctor, you're a senior consultant. Those fuckers can get away with anything they fucking damn well please, because they know they're not going to be fired. And that is the problem with the NBA refs. They're a law unto themselves because they feel they're untouchable. Now, if one of the little brown-haired girl that blocks the screen while they're doing replays does a bad call, well, then they rake the coals with her. But when Tony Brothers or any of his other mates that have been around since 1993 does a bad call, they just laugh it off, or I wouldn't argue with him, or I mean,
did you hear Richard Jefferson when he did the national broadcast?
He said something. Yeah,
sold out he sold out his soul.
Exactly.
I mean, because you've seen him on the internet, and he loved his time with the Cavaliers, and he would treat the Cavaliers, if anything, more than equal. But nope,
he was licking Celtic butt.
Absolutely, just doing what he was told to do.
He had to be told to do that.
Yeah.
I understand. I mean, he's a good I won't say he's a bad broadcaster. I want to see more people from his generation doing sports in every single sport going. There is too many old fucks like us and even older still around taking up jobs
that's
done by younger people.
They're not. You got to be willing to sell your soul. And the bottom line is that if you want to actually verbalize what you're seeing with your eyes, it's like that call didn't make any damn sense whatsoever. I mean, and it was getting to the point where it's so obvious what they're doing, and by the time you're bombarded by the propaganda from the announcing team, that you knew that the Celtics were just going to destroy the Cavaliers because that's what the plan was. And and that bothers me. What's going on with the Cavaliers bothers me to a degree too, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But if you're starting from behind, it's very, very difficult to get out in front. And the things that I'm seeing, it's like SGA now can literally take out a gun and shoot his defender and not get called.
The game last night with the Celtics and OKC.
The push off to get the shot off at the end of the game.
Oh,
He just totally forearmed the guy out of the way. Absolutely. And the Celtics
is Sheeman or Steelman or Garza or whatever the fucker was.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, but they loved having that game on the air, and it's a great thing because these are the two teams that are going to face each other in the finals.
Exactly.
The NBA knows it. It's a close game, but when push came to shove on that floor on that night, it didn't matter that the Celtics tied the game up. What mattered was that SGA was a fucking hero because he's the greatest in the game right now, and we were all supposed to fucking go on our knees and fillet him. That's the bottom line. And there is no skill set to shoving a guy backwards to get space.
Oh, fuck it up. We could all get space if we shove people out of the way. Is that what you're meant to do in the world, is shove people out of the way to get ahead?
Obviously, if you're playing for the right team. And if you're the Celtics, and like I said, if you're playing with Tatum, and I've watched him for years do that very same thing. Right. Or if you're watching, every team has its favorite guy who's allowed to get away with murder. And the Cavaliers don't have one. That's why that's why it's like they're soft. But Şengün can't play a lick of defense because he can't get off the ground with his pudgy little legs. And to be honest with you, all he can do is forearm shiver people, elbow people as he's going around them, elbow them in the back of the head. That's all he can do. And, watching the Pistons play, that's all that Beef Stewart can do, is when the referee's not looking, give somebody a cheap shot. And is that what the writer of the last article on Fear the Sword is saying, that he wants professional basketball to become? We want
to just suck it up and watch that. I mean, if you looked over at the Celtic bench when it was 0.8 seconds and they had to somehow manage to get a ball in and either tie the game or get a three to win it, they just looked like absolutely fucked. Yep. Their body language was the worst I've ever seen, and it was because the refs fucking fucked them.
Yeah,
I'm no chance.
Jeffrey is to me, the Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders spellings excused here. Quarterback competition. This is a competition for who's going to make the team and whether the team can improve its record from last year. That's what I'm ready for, seeing new offensive linemen, seeing a new coaching scheme, and perhaps a new vitality in the locker room. I'm hoping that there's a better vibe, but I could care less about Deshaun Watson or Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders at this point, because it's got to be a much bigger package than just that. And then he's following up with watching the Cavs play without Jared Allen. Shows how valuable he is to the team. But how many times do we keep saying this, because he bangs a knee with somebody and he's gone for a couple of weeks?
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of people saying that. Like, let me use the line that Lloyd said, like, "Oh, all these people are telling me that the team's better with Jared Allen than just Evan Mobley." Well, does that make it true? And all these people for saying it.
Well, I mean, but the thing is that we are forced to play without Jared Allen because when he's hurt, he's like
He's
Dean
hurt.
Wade. He
He's
doesn't
bad.
come back.
Yeah.
And we wait, we twiddle our thumbs, and we're playing. And then people say, well, Mobley is really playing lousy. Well, because Mobley
He's probably hurt.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not going to even begin to guess. The free throws are in his head, and I think that he's confused about what he's supposed to do and not supposed to do. Is he a 4? Is he a 5? They make him a 5 because Jared is injured half the time, and you only get like out of an 82 game season out of Jared, you probably will get 65 games or 60 games out of him. And he will miss time at the worst possible moment. And then when he gets into the playoffs, he looks like a different guy and he freezes in the spotlight and he lets Mitchell Robinson push him out of the paint. Jared Allen is a guy who has to be underneath the rim. He just has to be. He doesn't have a 3-point game. He's not a stretch center.
Yeah, he's not even Thomas Bryant, for God's sakes.
No, well, I mean, Jared Allen has good footwork and he can finish around the rim in high percentage.
Yeah.
But the problem is he's taking up that real estate. And what does that leave Evan Mobley with? And the answer is, if he's being pushed out more on the perimeter, it's forcing him to handle the ball, and he's terrible at that. Yeah. And, if he has to drive to the basket, you're going to see that fucking head and he looks like a fucking epileptic. The head and shoulders fake thing.
Yeah, he looks like them Rock'em Sock'em robots, but throwing both hands at the same time.
He's not ever going to be a guy who's going to play bully ball. No. And they have to understand, how do you use a guy like Evan Mobley, who's really a good defensive player, a great defensive player, but doesn't have a full offensive, repertoire. And to me, it's so simple. The reason that you have Harden and you have Donovan Mitchell is because those guys are your go-to people when times get tough. They're your vets, the guys who can score in many imaginative ways. That's what that is. The other guys on the floor play roles in all of this, and it's what Kenny Atkinson is having real trouble figuring out, and I'm beginning to think he's somewhat daft. Because, look, I'm not going to criticize him for his team's injuries. The team can't stay healthy. But the choices that he's making as to who's playing the critical minutes in games sometimes makes no sense to me. And again, this is, what you've been hearing. Yes, Harden can read a pick and roll and get the ball to Jared Allen, who puts it in for 2. The other team runs down the court before Jared Allen can get down the court. It's a 5-on-4 situation, and they shoot 3-point shots. We're scoring 2s with Jared to give up 3s on the other end of the court. We are not a better team just because Jared Allen and James Harden are playing together. Why don't you look at other statistics? If you're talking about James Harden, who brings the ball up the floor and dribble, I thought the Cavaliers were a fast passing 3-point shooting machine, which is what Kenny described them as last year and coming into this year. Why is Sam Merrill having trouble getting open looks? And the reason is dribble. By the time James Harden is setting something up, he can set up a pick and roll with Jared Allen, but the other team doesn't give a flying fuck. If he wants to involve Evan Mobley, and Evan Mobley goes to the basket, they're laughing because that's what they want. You're allowing teams to defend you when you're most dangerous by avalanching people with 3-point shots and getting momentum going. You traded away Darius Garland, and so that takes a little bit of that away. Keon Ellis can hit 3s, and Merrill can hit 3s, and Thomas Bryant can even hit 3s, but not if the court's all congested and people are not moving, nonstop, and the ball moving with them. That's the problem. And the reason Jared Allen looks better with James Harden is they're both made out of a pillar of salt. One is 36 years old, and the other guy, when he finishes at the basket, doesn't have enough steam to get to the other end of the court by the time the team runs the ball up the floor. We're giving up more paint points and more layups than any fucking team in the NBA. Open your eyes. Look at what happened against the Orlando Magic. Why were they able to score in the paint so easily? Not because Jared Allen wasn't playing. The Cavaliers weren't getting down the floor. It's an effort issue. Every time Harden goes to the rim and lays it in, he falls down over the baseline and he looks like a turtle on his back, and the Magic would run down the floor and get a layup.
All right, that reminds me of another thing from last night's game that I wanted to talk about. Celtics OKC. Now, if you were watching that game pretty closely like I was, the first half, they both teams scored about 30 points each, so 120 points. The fourth quarter, both teams fell off a cliff, and they ended up just barely getting over 100 points.
Yep.
So, and the reason that is that their defensive intensity grew, and also they were both tired teams. So the shots were hitting the front of the rim.
That's right.
They were not, and then they were making tired passes that were getting picked. They were getting shots blocked from somebody coming up behind them. Blocking them. And the Cavaliers are even worse to be defended against. The Cavaliers, what they need, in my opinion, is more fucking aerobic conditioning. They need to be able to actually run and be fit at the end of the games, because the Celtics certainly weren't fit enough last night. They ended up with like 15 points in the fourth quarter when they had been scoring 30 the whole thing. And Oklahoma and the refs ass raped them, but Oklahoma didn't do much better. They only scored about 20.
The whole
on the Cavs team,
the pace of play for the Celtics is not that fast. Okay. Now you look at the stats and it'll show you that. With Oklahoma City, they are more of an up-tempo team. But in the end, I guess my feeling is you got to know who you are, you got to have an identity, and you got to know who to put on the floor at a given moment. And I'll tell you what's bothering me. If you want an offense that gets the ball to primary shooters, because you want, and people are saying, why the Cavaliers suddenly so bad from 3-point range? It's like, because they're not setting anybody up.
And they're tired.
I think that more than being tired in the beginning of a game, even, they're not setting players up. And Merrill is shooting with hands in his face, and that's not what he does. And Harden will take some threes. Mitchell is the clock is running down, so he's hoisting shots that are not the best choice decision shots. You look at who should be opening the floor up, and we have a 36-year-old man, and we have a 33-year-old man, and one is 6'1" and 180 pounds, and he doesn't shoot well. Schroeder is not a good shooter. Last year, it was an aberration. He hit almost 47% of his field goals. He was shooting like 38% from three, but at no time, and it's so funny. It's like last year with the Hawks, and I'm saying to myself,
the Hawks, there you go.
The fucking Hawks. I mean, look at DeAndre Hunter. He looked great with the fucking Hawks. I mean, what? It's dumb. You're not thinking if you're thinking that way. Your brain isn't working right. The problem here is a failure to communicate. You've got a 33-year-old backup point guard who shouldn't be playing. Schroeder is not a competent thinking man's player. He dribbles the ball far too much. When he goes into the paint, he's going to try to finish come hell or high water. He isn't going to throw back out to an open man. And he himself is not a threat to shoot 3-point shots and make them. The reason they lost to the Celtics is because the Celtics are getting more out of Pritchard. They're getting more out of Hauser. They're getting more out of their slow white guys than we are getting out of our old and slow guys. And that is because Missoula is a better coach than Kenny Atkinson. It's just not hard to figure out. They run an organized offense and they look like business on the court. And to make matters worse, they got two guys, worse if you're a Cavs fan. You've got Brown and you've got Tatum, and they have the ability to put up big numbers. But when you have the bench guys like Pritchard, who are actually able to create their own shot, the only shot that Schroeder can get for himself is if he drives headlong into the paint and tries to bank it up and it gets blocked half the time. And then he is letting his man get down the floor and they just lay it in.
Yeah, his man's leaked out and they're in for a layup or whatever.
And he's always arguing with officials, so he's not getting down the floor. He's got a bad fucking attitude. It's why he's played for 11 different teams. And I keep trying to say this, and there's a company line here. And the company line is, well, we needed Schroeder because we needed that veteran leadership. And the reason we needed it is because CPJ is not a true point guard.
Yeah, he's not meat or foul, really.
But what I would say is this. He's more of a difference maker when he's on the floor. That's the thing that bothers me. No, he's not typical. He is short, but he jumps out of the building. He steals balls, and he can assist players. And he was shooting much better from the floor before Kenny fucked his head up by saying, well, I guess he's not really the 3-point guy that we were hoping for. You know, how many players can you have on your roster who have fucked up heads? You know, you ask yourself about DeAndre Hunter and Evan Mobley can't shoot free throws now, and he's not able to make 3-point shots at any level because he's confused. And you look at all of the players who are playing for the Cavaliers and how many of them. And you have Schroeder, and you have who's playing at a lesser level than he was in Atlanta, and DeAndre Hunter, who just checked out of the building like Elvis did. There's something wrong when the coach is analyzing who should be playing. When you have a problem and you're giving up open looks from three to teams like the Celtics, I ask immediate questions. One of them is, instead of having somebody arguing with the referee and having Schroeder pound the ball, CPJ is a better person to be playing. And the reason is he's got more athleticism, and no, he doesn't have as much experience, but God damn it, the guy will get up near the midcourt line and pressure his man, and they will create turnovers. The same thing's true of Tomlin. Tomlin should not be on the floor for long periods of time. And neither should Thomas Bryant. These are people who, in small dosages, can help you out. But a guy, you know, and Sam Merrill is running around, but for no reason, because no plays are being run and set. What is he supposed to do? The guy's running around in circles, and they say, well, wait till Max Strus gets back. Then another one will be running around in circles and won't see the ball. Yeah. So I don't understand any of this. Porter, and I'm not going to change my mind about this because I saw CPJ play and he was scoring in the paint. When he goes to the rim, he can finish with a dunk, for God's sakes. Yeah. He blocks shots and helps out in the paint, which is something that we need help with. And he can hit a corner three. He has the ability. He just doesn't believe it anymore because Kenny has convinced him by downing his playing time that he is not ready to be anything more than a last guy off the bench guy. And the same thing with Tomlin. Tomlin's got long arms. Tomlin can offensive rebound. Tomlin can play defense in the sense that he can get his long arms in the passing lanes, bat the ball away, and blow up a team's offense. You put him together with CPJ and Keon on the floor. It's a short lineup, but it is an aggressive one. And you need to have runs against these good teams to even have a chance.
Yeah, that's my final point is that when was the last time there was a fucking Cavalanche?
They're playing from behind. Most of these games are playing from behind, and they're trying to catch up at the last minute. And, and then the referees will fuck you in the butt. So, I mean,
fuck you at the drive-through.
You got to be explosive with the explosive weapons that you have. Now, as far as Darius Garland is concerned, I hope he does well with the Clippers. And I hate this. Either you're a Shedeur fan or you're not. You're either a Darius fan or you're not. I watched Darius Garland play in Cleveland for years. I like the guy. He has an enormous amount of skill. He is not ever in his offseason built his body strength up. He is sitting again right now because of the foot in Los Angeles. So he's still on some rest plan because his foot still isn't right. He can shoot threes. He's worthless driving into the paint, but he's playing in a conference where it's more up and down, which should help him be able to pull up to shoot threes or to pass off to guys when they have, the 3-on-2 kind of, situations in fast break. I see Jeffrey is saying that he wants to see more CPJ as well. And that, Schroeder and Harden are both ball dominant, but in a way that Dennis Schroeder isn't going to help you offensively. The ball's in his hands far too much, and I don't understand it.
I think it's trapped really easy. You can get him trapped.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to point out, and what you sent me was, I almost fell out of my chair.
It's hilarious.
It really is funny. It's a macabre kind of way, but it was very funny. This whole Bam Adebayo's 83-point game. What a joke. I mean, that is a stain.
I didn't watch any of that. I mean, I heard that it was all at the free throw line.
He went to the free throw line himself 43 times.
That's nuts.
And he only made 20 of them, and he still had an 83-point game. I mean, they weren't guarding him. I mean, it's a stain on the league. And, of course, I apologize to no one, said the insect-looking fucker, Spoelstra. Period. Yeah. And you can't be serious. The league has just become...
That's like a WWE stuff, giving somebody 83 points for no good reason.
Yeah, just so people can argue about it. And I'm going to say something that's going to piss other people off. There's nothing sacred to me. A great game is a great game by an athlete. And, Wilt Chamberlain's 100. I wasn't there to see that. I was only 4 years old when that happened. Kobe Bryant's 81 was the grandest definition of self-grandiosity in the history of the NBA. He was chucking at will, and the fact of the matter was that was set up for him to set a record, a modern record, right? And Kobe Bryant, if you look at that game, teams were letting him shoot because it was the end of his career. So Adebayo took 43 shots overall and an incredible 43 tries from the foul line. And the last few minutes were described as a circus with Wizards at times quadruple teaming Adebayo, who was still getting the ball, and the Heat fouling Washington players on 4 occasions, the final moments, to extend the game so he'd get the record. I mean, it reminded me.
I didn't know that happened.
Yeah.
That's WWE tactics, man.
You know what it reminded me of? There was, and I don't remember her name, a young lady who was a top college basketball player, and she injured her leg, and she was
they got her out so that she could get her point, that set the record.
a layup. That she limped out onto the court with a cast on, basically, and they just let her score a basket and took her out, and that's just wrong. Any way you look at it, I understand you want to be able to honor somebody like that, but the breaks are the way the breaks are, and tell them what you sent me, Bronk.
It was a thing from the Onion, so it's got to be on the Onion's website. But I imagine people complained about it. It had a photo of I forget what the photo was, but it was Lakers fans complained that Bam Adebayo's helicopter crash was worse than Kobe's.
He's just stealing all the thunder from Kobe, isn't he? Hey, Bebo 976-458.
So look it up on the Onion. Maybe you'll still see it there if they haven't taken it down.
If you're in Winnipeg, say hi to Burton Cummings for me and the guys from the Guess Who, Randy Bachman. Winnipeg is surprisingly a spot where no music came out of until the Guess Who did. And he's studying for RCMP Manitoba. I don't know what RCMP.
Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Oh, how about that? Sergeant Preston of the Yukon. I love it.
Dudley Do-Right.
Yes, fair enough. God, it's going to end up sounding like
no, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, that's what it's going to end up sounding like.
Dwayne Stat and Dudley Do-Right do sound kind of the same.
I have to differentiate the two because it's not appropriate.
Bill, I'll save you, Bill.
God almighty. So, yeah, I mean, the league can't be taken seriously when all this shit is going down. And then the other thing is trying to make Miami of Ohio the villain.
Oh,
can't
how
they
do you
let
feel
things
about that? Your alma maters playing each other in UMass. I mean, I was going to ask you about that.
Well, no, they UMass beat them.
I know,
and so look, every O's got to go. Eventually it's got to go. And it was a great season for Miami of Ohio, and they should be in the NCAA.
Absolutely, 100%.
And they did what they did in the regular season, but UMass beat them by 4 points in the first round of their of the MAC conference
in Cleveland.
Yeah. So, but to sit there and say that, it's a payback for what they did to the fans in Athens, the fans in Athens should move to Greece, go to that Athens and take it up the rear end. As the Greeks sometimes, they invented it. Yeah. I don't understand. I mean, they're just a mid-major team. They're not going to win anything in the NCAA like all the other teams. And what do you want? You want teams who are 15-12 to be in the final 64? Come on.
Yeah, you want an Auburn team that's got like 18 losses.
Yeah, I mean, it's foolishness. It doesn't make any sense. I wanted to read this headline. And the reason is because, this is what we're getting from people like Mary Kay Cabbagehead. Shedeur Sanders could be the Browns lottery ticket, and that's exactly what they're counting on is change the channel. This is the woman who really would have gone down on her knees to blow Dylan Gabriel if it wasn't so low. The fact is her knees just can't. No, I mean, her knees couldn't go that low. She's pushing 90 now. God,
make it stop.
I know it's like I I don't for the life of me understand. The Cavaliers, if you haven't heard the injury report, you've been hearing the same injury report over and over again.
Alan Struess and I think Merrill's hurt with something or hamstring or
No, Tyrese Proctor quadricep.
Proctor.
Yeah. The team we're playing is 22-44, and they're not doing very well right now.
Game.
And they're on a back-to-back, so they're on the second game of a back-to-back. And God damn it, if the Cavaliers can't come out playing with energy in the beginning of this game, I'm going to ask Dan Gilbert personally to serve him his head. Because
go fuck yourself, Dan Gilbert.
No, it's like, wouldn't that be great if like Dan Gilbert could hire, Dwayne Stat for one day. Yeah.
You're fired. Get the fuck out of here and go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Hi, Kurt. How you doing? Euclid Kurt. He has a displaced fracture, a non-displaced fracture in his offhand, which is his right paw. So and he's playing, but Jared Allen can't play after banging knees with somebody. I love the sound of broken glass. Do, do, do. And Jared Allen is made of glass.
Oh, well.
This was one other thing I wanted to mention before I get out of here. The Big 12 makes a big decision, basically for their NCAA tournament for the teams playing on there. They're going to transition back to a traditional hardwood court for the remainder of the conference tournament because their innovative LED glass court, it was using LED and
blinding the players.
Probably. No, they were slipping and sliding.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Why would you make
Hey, that really looks slick.
Why fuck with something? Like the hardwood floor is a classic. Why have an LED lighted floor? What? It doesn't make.
I have no idea. And by the way, the NCAA tournament betting is set to tick up to $3.3 billion. That's right. And you're telling me that's going to be honest? No. The whole thing is ridiculous. And who cares if Gilgeous-Alexander eclipses Wilt for the longest 20-point streak? We never heard about a 20-point streak before. We've got to say something about Gilgeous-Alexander every day or else we're going to go to hell. Correct. I mean, enough.
Yes, that is one stat of Wilt's that I was not aware of for all my 65 years of my life.
Nobody was. Nobody was. I mean, and they bring this stuff up just to add, and when they're done with him, they're done with him. If he falls and rips out his leg or whatever, they'll move on and they'll find somebody else. They always do. Yeah. So, it's 8 after 6, and I got to get out of here because I got to grab a bite to eat and with rocks, and then got to watch the game. And I don't want to be yelling and screaming. I don't want to yell and scream. I don't want to.
Don't yell and scream.
All right.
I believe it's a Prime game, if I'm not mistaken. So that'll be interesting. We have our own little English announcers that do half of the commercial break. And, it's quite
entertaining.
Yeah, it is good though. Yeah.
All right, Bronk, I'm out of here. Thanks again. I appreciate you and your moose-like presence on the program. I
haven't heard the moose voice for a while. Do the old Bullwinkle.
What would he say?
Again.
It will be like,
hey, Rocky, why don't you go fuck yourself?
Everyone's just,
that would be brilliant if they Boris Bednoff, go fuck yourself.
Squirrel and foul mouth moose. Uh, yeah, yeah. I mean, it used to be, there would be certain bullwinkle things you would say, but
Yeah.
with the contentious society,
Hey, Shador is stupid. Let's see if I can piss anyone off. Pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't know
Thanks,
my own strength.
I forgot about that line. Oh my. Thanks everybody for tuning into this edition of Moohead Radio. Back again on Monday, and let's hope that the Cavaliers come out
Let's hope they win.
playing seriously, and there aren't many games left, and
No.
the
Thank God.
the charge of the light brigade is coming up behind us, and we got to start winning some games. So let's hope that happens.
Yeah, our long NBA nightmare is nearly over.
Yep. All right, Bronk, take care. And everybody out there, have a good night, everyone. Hasta la vista, Pastor Eds. Good night.